Hey, Composing Gloves here. And today we're going to be talking about the saw wave lead. This is a lead that is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's just everywhere. So I have not prepped anything this time. I mean, most of the leads I've already done have included saw waves. Like, oh, well, that particular one hasn't. But we can make it bang, saw wave lead. We could just go ham. The reason I think saw wave lead saw. The reason I think saw wave leads are so important is because they are everywhere. You're gonna run into them and they are super versatile. So first, let's create a saw wave lead. So first, just go to a saw wave. Arguably, you're already done. Now, this could be considered one of the first leads after like the sine wave and the triangle wave. But what's cool is just how many things you can do with this. So we can, like, for example, turn the unison order up. And we could turn the pitch variation up on the unison. And we could do something like that. We could randomize this. And so we get the sense of space as it moves around. We could add in a few more unison. This is where your detune leads come from. This is a very interesting thing. So some of the old school like rap stuff is like that. Is this slowly down? No, it's not. So you could send out multiple versions. You could change their octaves. What's cool here is you can FM them. It'd be interesting to FM it by 3. FM 2 by 3. And we'll make it a sine wave at a ratio of 1. Maybe even lower ratio. I'm telling you, saw waves are the way to go. Well, this is technically FM, but it stems from the saw wave. What's really interesting is when you take them and you run them through a filter, and then you distort that filter. You turn it off. Turn the filter off. And you run through a wave shaper. Make this one lower. Make this one a 1. So that's a really interesting sort of concept right there. You could have reverb to it or delay even. Turn the delay on to the reverb. Now we have our unison on. What if we turn that off? What they're so popular about is they contain every harmonic in the spectrum, which makes them great as a base starting point for subtractive synthesis. Great for additive synthesis because of what happens when you add them all up together and variate the phase. Another thing that's a really popular sort of move to do is to take them. Where's Sytrus? And you open it. As you can see, this is a saw waves. What? They're just everywhere, man. This one, it uses the unison quite heavily. So if we go to default, turn on to saw wave, convert to sine harmonics, and then if we click the randomize phases. So you get something like that. So it starts out, so it's still kind of a sine wave, but it's still a sine wave harmonically, but the phases are all over the map. So it's not technically a sine wave anymore. It's something else, but you start there. So hopefully you're seeing where some of the sounds maybe you enjoy are coming from. Oh, you know what would be interesting if we put 2 out and distorted 2 on Wave Shaper 1. And we distorted 1 on Filter 2 with no filter. Turn on. That's kind of an interesting deal, that is. We could even take these, we could introduce one level of unison. There's no articulator in Harmor. You can turn these things on and off using envelopes, which would be a really cool upgrade if they ever decided to do that. My upgrades are all spread out throughout my videos. I don't even remember all of them. Like every time I do something, I'm like, oh, this would be cool if that was a thing. So, oh, whoops, didn't want to do that. I guess the low pass filter is fine. I'm going to hook up the cutoff to mod X. And do it for 2. I'm going to hook it up to the mod X. Get really grimy, aggressive, I don't know. Then it'd be cool if we added a LFO. Gosh dang it, I do not know. I don't know. One day I'm going to find out why this is the default envelope. I'm going to feel really silly. But until that day, I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to move the pitch around. This is going to get me in trouble if I don't copy it over to 2. Paste it. See what I'm talking about? You know what? I probably want this to be have the ability to go a bit faster. So copy. The reason is that when they're not when they're not right in sync with each other, man, it just sounds horrible because they're on different pitches. That's cool. Now that's going to be the max speed of my LFO. So I'm going to link to controller, and I'm going to move my controller and remove conflicts. So now my pitch bend wheel controls it instead of controlling the pitch bend, because if I use it with my mod wheel, it's super hard to get it back to the default value. If I had 2 pitch bendy controllers, I would use that. It'd be really cool if I had just like a MIDI thing just full of mod wheels and pitch bend wheels. That'd be so useful. After playing it, I want it to be able to go faster so that I don't have to tap it. It feels like just, yeah, I want to go faster. Copy state. Paste state. That's a little too fast, but I could change it. But anyways, that's the saw wave lead. You can do a ton more stuff. So Unison, they'll chorus it, they'll reverb it. They'll do all manner. I want this to be turned down. So just an interesting deal here. You turn on the delay. Popular thing I like to do. So just a cool thing. This is also where strings sort of originate from. If you want to create like a string-like patch, you generally get a bunch of saw waves, unison them, and then it gets really tricky if you want to be convincing. Then you got to figure out bow noise. So you got to figure out that kind of like how you're going to introduce that. You got to figure out the attack. It's going to be a legato patch, a staccato patch. A pizzicato patch is actually easier because then you just turn on the pluck. But I'm not going to make a string sound, but it's, if you think about it, they're saw waves. So once you get to the saw wave, you got to figure out how you're going to just essentially use your articulators to slowly vary at the beginning, big time, and then later on. You might even consider using a layer and using multiple Sytruses to do it, because it seems like something that would be a thing to do it in. You might consider using Patcher. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day. Composing Gloves here. This is the first video in the FM8 from the ground up tutorial series. By the end of this series, you should comprehensively know how to create a sound in FM8. You should know what everything does to some extent, and you should be able to be directionally creative, meaning if something goes wrong.